Good to read big words.
It's good to read big
while
words.
drunk.
Big words are funny.
Okay.
Don't be a jerk.
So. Wait, what happened?
I don't think I've ever seen you laugh.
My name's
so much.
Carl.
Okay. The assassin hobos.
All right.
Okay, so nurse,
Yes.
therapist, Beaver, patient, Fawn.
I'm sorry. Okay.
This is great.
Alright.
So, just to be absolutely clear, like, patient, I would say in the midst of telling a story. But any emotion, I would not.
Yeah, anytime that it says like angrily or beat or pause, you wouldn't want to do that. But if it says like, you know, patient runs across the stage and stabs him in the face, that would be important, so you'd want to read that.
Alright.
Does it?
You'll see.
Shit.
Alright.
The majority of the stage is dressed as a forest. Far down stage and halfway between stage right and center stage is a therapist's chase lounge. At the head of the lounge, further stage right and at a 90-degree angle to the lounge is a wing chair. The stage opens with a spotlight on this area, illuminating therapist, who sits in the wing chair, and patient, who is reclined on the chase lounge. The rest of the stage is completely blacked out. Patient in the midst of telling a story.
But the bowling ball was covered in lard, so I said coconut milk, and then a week later I had to change schools.
Be absolutely assured that it is inapplicable to your current condition.
How can you be sure? How can you know? It was the most shameful thing I've ever done.
How can I know? I know because there's a PhD behind my name. Is there a PhD behind your name?
Well, no.
No. No. Of course there isn't, is there? Of course not. That's the reason you Whoops. Oh, shit.
You got it. Languish.
Yeah. That is the reason you languish on the couch, and I excavate the intractable recesses of your solid psyche. Do you understand this word?
Stolid.
Stolid.
Well, no.
This is not going.
Poo-poo.
No. No. Of course you don't, do you? Of course not. If you did, why then you might be the doctor and I the patient. Ha! To imagine it, vast quantities of money siphoned from my pockets into yours, rather than from yours into mine. Travesty.
A travesty?
Indeed. And that is why you must continue as my patient, and I as your doctor. And you must continue to pay my exorbitant, yet competitively priced fee.
I only came here for the pills.
I know. We all did. Now talk.
Well, I was born in 1972 in Chicago.
In a building?
Oh yes, of the highest quality.
I see. I think we're making real progress today. Please, continue.
And then I grew older, and now I am here.
Illuminating. Simply illuminating. And haunting. Your story has touched me here. And here.
Wait.
Would you excuse me for just a moment?
Way to just jump right across the
I'm
stage
sorry.
section. Oh, by all means.
Stands.
Nurse!
This is yelled with desperation and a steadily rising volume. Entering the stage left and briskly walking towards the therapist until she stands immediately before him. Yes, sir?
You are a loathsome, unwholesome, infectious whore of a woman, and I damned that you, and I demand that you remove yourself from my office this instant.
Aye, aye, Captain. She salutes as a military-style about-face and marches briskly off stage left.
These things, you see, and people who behave like things. They're like aged wheels of hard Italian cheese and must be sliced as such, with thin steel wires moistened with milk.
Boston thought.
My God, the beauty of the metaphor.
Why not moistened with tears?
Milk, goddammit! Do you see? See it with me. Goddamn fucking milk.
I like tears.
Sorry, I skipped over. Yeah.
No, that's emotion. It's okay.
Letters. You scab-chewing... Wait, what? Yeah, you scab-chewing ignorant cretin. There are letters behind my name. Wait, tears. You cried yesterday. No, that's not it. Yesterday you were telling me about a carton panel that made you cry. Yes, perhaps we should pick up from there.
Well, doctor, it was the dog, you see, in Beetle Bailey, the bulldog, and his hat. I was at the dentist office waiting for my wife, who was getting her bicuspid removed due to excessive wear, when I noticed this little book of comics. I guess it was there for the children who need things to busy themselves with, but I picked it up and read it anyway. It was brightly colored and smelled the way that old dollar bills do. Inside was a comic about this dog, this Beetle Bailey bulldog barking orders. At first I was just glancing at it, but then I noticed he was wearing a hat. It made me think about all those war dogs. You know, in the World War II movies, none of them had hats. But what if they had? Would they have felt better about themselves? Would they have had self-respect? And would it have improved their on-the-job performance? Or yet, what if they had all worn helmets, like Beetle Bailey did? Can you imagine it? How many of those poor war dogs died because they had no helmets? All they ever wanted was to serve their country, but they're rotten now and probably eaten by maggots because we didn't supply them the proper equipment. Their country failed them. I thought about that as I was sitting in the dentist's office, and all of a sudden I began to cry. I couldn't stop them, you know, the tears. They just began to run. And when my wife came out of her appointment, I saw that they had wired her jaw shut, and that made me laugh. Laugh like I hadn't in years.
That sounds explanatory cackle.
And before I knew it, I was standing in the midst of that room, laughing so hard that my cheeks were cramping, and tears were pouring from my eyes, and that stupid little book dangled from my hands.
Well, that sounds...
Insane?
Oh, goodness, no. We don't like to use that terminology around here. We prefer to say, caca-cuckoo.
Mumbo jumbo.
Indeed. Fornication, urination, defecation, mastication, masturbation. We have all sorts of specialized vocabulary for the important things you do.
Sleep?
Abetitude to Torpidity.
Work?
Oh, wow. Avocation, application.
Shopping?
Acquisition, consumerism.
How come you know so many things?
I have letters behind my name. The Beetle Bailey Bulldog. Why did you cry?
I felt things I didn't like.
You didn't like? Like?
Like nobody is real. Like we're all lies and shadow. Like we are hideous creatures wrapped beneath the flesh-colored cloak of what we wish we could be. The bad things I've done in life have built up like bile in the back of my throat until now I choke on my every breath. One time ago, I let myself show through, but it was repugnant to people, and even more than that, to me. It is an ugly thing to stare back at yourself in the mirror. Like that.
I think you need a lollipop. Or perhaps some medication.
The pharmacological answer.
The correct answer.
Like my nephew, my sister's boy. He takes Prozac. He's 7. At 7 years old, he takes Prozac.
7? Well, then there's absolutely no doubt that he requires antidepressants.
But he's so young. He's a child. How does a child get depression? What does a child have to be depressed about? His brain is still developing, growing, learning, forming. Won't drugs hinder that?
Shut the fuck up!
Okay. Will you be giving me Prozac?
That determination has not been made at this present moment. Tell me more about you.
Sometimes I dream.
Yawn.
I thought dreams were important things for people who do jobs like you do.
What do you know about people who do jobs like I do?
You are the magic men, the noble learned who aid their fellows. You pour through great tomes of knowledge in your unquenchable thirst to effect good deeds amongst all mankind.
Feeble D word dance. Dude.
Expatiation? I don't even know that word.
Clarification, delineation, and elucidation. Get to the goddamn point, sir.
I had a dream.
Now we're getting to
Lights come up full on the stage, and for the first time we see that we are in a forest. The patient stands up from the chase lounge for the first time and wanders into the midst of the trees.
I was in a forest. It was beautiful. It was the kind with trees.
Becoming aware of the forest as patient speaks of it and stepping forward into it with him. As the play continues, he will only become aware of objects, actions, and characters in the forest through the patient. Patient is his connection to the forest, and without him, therapists would not be able to interact with it.
Glorious. A pre-conscious representation of the primal need for basic natural connection.
In the distance, I could hear a waterfall, and was reminded of my childhood when my father and I would hike the woodlands around our home.
Warning. Do not inject upon this idyllic serenity your preconceived notions of the interpretive nature of psychoanalysis.
But I never recognized this place. I thought it was lovely, though.
Why are there so many leaves?
Low, as if referencing a conspiracy.
They grow.
I see. And you were alone here?
I was not.
At this, Beaver emerges from behind a tree as if he is in the process of foraging for something. Fawn rises from a spot on the forest floor where she had not been visible and stretches as if just waking from sleep. Initially, they seem quite animal-like, but as the patient speaks of them, they snap to attention and interact with him, and the therapist in a much more human-like manner. It is important to note that although Beaver and Fawn can hear the therapist, he can only hear them through the patient.
Allow me to guess.
Looks around at the forest.
Given the primal setting, there are regular patterns in the tree bark and on the fern fronds. I'm going to place 3 to 7 odds that we are amidst a pornographic fantasy. Am I correct? Sex dream. I smell it. 10 phrases off. What naked feminine structure resides in the hidden recesses of your pervasion? Filth? Who? Some early teacher? A neighbor? Your mother, perhaps? Are you indeed the sickened miscreant you had prejudged to be?
Gleefully singing.
Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me.
Motioning to the creatures.
There were woodland creatures. Oh, animals.
Oh,
Obviously disappointed.
well, okay. One would suppose that the opportunity for analytical enlightenment resides in them as well. So tell me then, what were these creatures doing?
Dancing.
At this, Beaver and Fawn begin striking one tableau after another. Each one is a frozen image of the two of them in the midst of some joyous dance. They are smiling brilliantly and having the time of their lives. Each tableau is held for about 4 seconds, after which they enter a new one. Each tableau should require extensive readjustment, also lasting about 4 seconds, during which Beaver and Fawn have utterly emotionless faces. The readjustment should have none of the appearance of dancing in any way. This action occurred stage left while therapist and patient talk stage right near the chase lounge.
Dancing. Intriguing. Tell me, what dance was it?
I don't know dances.
Waltz, samba, foxtrot, two-step, touche-push, running man, twist, macarena, mashed potato. Were they doing the dance of the sugar plum fairy?
The pretty one. The one that feels like freedom.
The
like
pretty-
floating.
The pretty one? Well, that could only have been the Charleston.
Does it mean anything?
Why, of course it means something. Incontrovertibly evidence of a hyper-fascination with Coolidge-era popular culture. Most likely a presidential connection. Do you fear corruption?
At times, the corruption of mitochondrial DNA.
I wish I could say that made my job easier. Continue.
They were dancing in the forest, and behind them the sun was setting. Or rising, I'm not sure. One or the other. And they looked so happy, so carefree. Moving from one position to another like they were. I just wanted to watch them, but they noticed me and stopped.
At this point, Beaver and Fawn end their last tableau by becoming startled by patient's presence. Fawn gasps and moves behind Beaver, who guards her somewhat and seems mildly irate at having been interrupted.
Why are you here?
And one of them asked why I was here.
Asked why you were there. How arrogant. Does it not realize that it's in your dream? And as such, it should be explaining its presence.
At
Who's this
therapist.
jerk? Off. Sorry.
I guess not.
Tell me then, what is this creature?
It is a beaver. And he seems to be smoking a cigar.
Circling around Beaver and inspecting him.
You only think it's a beaver. In fact, it is not.
It's not?
No, this, sir, is a representation of a vagina. What? A vagina.
Wait, that's me.
Whoops.
A vagina? Really?
What, really?
Looking closely at Beaver's cigar.
I skipped way ahead.
And
No.
What?
That's right, it was me. I miss you.
Yeah, what?
I
What?
He doesn't say a vagina. I say a
I
vagina.
don't say shit.
Oh, you
It's
say
right
it.
here.
Okay, how about we go back to this
It's
is
a
a
representation
representation
of a vagina. What?
a vagina? Really?
Lipsy at Beaver's cigar.
And once more, it seems you have developed a fixation with the office of the President of the United States.
I am no goddamn vagina!
Did you wish to become a president during your childhood?
Well, I guess so. I mean, doesn't every little boy?
And this one here. What's this one?
It's a fawn.
Well, of course it is. I see it now. Perfectly hideous creature. God's fever dream.
No, not at all. She's quite a lovely creation.
She? Why, I was thoroughly convinced it was a male.
She's obviously female.
Obviously?
Yanks Fawn down roughly and points to antlers.
Do you see these? Do you? Huh? Eh? You do. See. There. See. You. Do.
What?
I don't know.
You just lost that completely, dude.
Yeah,
Well, yes.
these symbolic of masculinity. A more blatant example of sexual dimorphism is rarely seen in the animal kingdom.
Female caribou have antlers.
I ask, why are you here?
That ain't
Great.
no Beaver.
Greenboro, South Carolina.
Where?
Have you ever been there?
No.
Oh, you simply must. A necessity. In fact, I do believe I can continue the psychological examination until you have discovered the charms of that lovely bird for yourself.
Though that certainly sounds exceedingly reasonable, might it prove too time-consuming to travel all the way to South Carolina just so we may continue this appointment?
Pity. It would certainly expand your understanding of the species-specific gender-based and anatomical divergence.
Sweet spot physiology.
Indeed. What I was saying. Oh yes, hideous creature. As such, it seemed apparent to me that it represents only the more heinous aspects of your nature. Heinous.
Don't you Heinous.
The ID.
The id.
The id.
Yeah.
Shit. Now you're getting Freud on me, motherfucker.
I know.
Pure selfish desire for the fulfillment of your basic needs. Ugly, ugly, ugly.
But it hasn't even spoken. How can you be so sure?
Symbolism. You daft clod kicker. Representational understanding is the key of deduction of the dream connotation. Certain images, characters, or, dare I say, animals, are synonyms with certain uniform corporeal counterparts. As such, these equations are constant for all people at all times, in all places. Therefore, beaver equals vagina. And convoluted gender, masculine, feminine, fawn with antlers equals fulfillment of the base needs. Duh.
After a contemplative pause.
I wish I had such insight.
Secondary schooling. You can't afford this level of intelligence.
Isn't IQ free?
You would disagree. Then, by all means, have at it. This creature, what of it?
She's vulnerable. In my dream. Or maybe I merely want her to be. Or maybe she is the ghostly illusion of the woman I always wanted. Or just a lie.
Oh, sorry. The forest is silent in the sunset. Silent with the sound of life beating down for sleep.
What if I should love her?
Ha! Hasn't that question been asked 100 times?
What part of love can be understood? What father would not die for his child? What lover would not walk the breadth of continents for her chosen? Cocktails and chemicals, and the discovery and the meaning lost. That for this one person, the feeling is real. It is not an illusion. It is not a shadow of your biological needs. And with it, you climb to heights of humanity such as science could never predict. You strive to help others succeed just as they help you. You cheer lone man standing motionless before the onslaught. You weep for the girl orphaned by the cruelty of creation. Despite your flaws and corruptions, there lingers deep-seated decency, altruism amongst each other, eager to see joy amongst your vast kinship. the spirit raised by its brothers and sisters. Compassion is the greatest gift that humanity bears, and yet you give it without thought.
Not me. I always think first.
I don't think she's so hideous. Not at all. Quite the opposite.
You never answered my question.
Still the patient.
Well, of course not. She, if you insist on calling it a female, is representation of your ugly, dirty desires. Icky, sick, nasty, humpy stuff. Humpy stuff! Do you see? How could this seem anything but beautiful to you?
I ask why you're here.
Then I guess I should avoid her. I should steer clear. But how much I might love to ask her name.
Round and round the man goes down. Round and round and down and down and down.
Your first question must always be why.
The feeling of bare feet meeting beneath blankets.
Down, down, down.
You must ask,
Soft lips against yours.
why are you here?
To Beaver, as if snapped out of a reverie.
I'm having a dream.
It's in caps, I just figured.
You're in it.
Screen.
Points to Fawn.
So is she.
Points to therapist.
He is not.
Dream, eh? I know about dreams. Do you know about dreams? Do you? Do you know, for example, that your brain has two memory banks, the short and the long term? Each day, your short-term bank fills up, and while you sleep, your brain sorts through it, deciding what is important and what is not. It writes the information it deems worthy into your long-term bank. This process happens during what you call dreams, and you get no say in it. Your brain does all this on its own accord. Remember, that really good joke your coworker told you 2 years ago? No? Because your brain deemed it unimportant. Remember the last thing your mother told you before she told you she'd been diagnosed with cancer? No, not important. Remember that time Elizabeth kissed you at 3 a.m. and you told your brain, begged your brain to hold on to this one, please, just this one memory? I desperately want to hold on to this one forever. No? Because your brain decided it was irrelevant. But you don't realize these memories are gone because you were the only one who knew them to begin with. And no one else can tell you what you're missing. 95% of the moments in your life are missing. And they were not lost, were not destroyed, but were never even written down to begin with because your brain deemed them unnecessary. Dreams? Dreams are when you erase your own existence.
Or make it.
Or fake it.
Well, it's all rather intrusive, don't you think? Just barging in like this? Did you even consider our privacy?
Privacy.
Privacy. Tell us conjuring phantasm in your mind. You go where you wish.
I go where I wish.
I heard him.
You do what you want.
I do what I want.
I told you I heard him.
And in your mind, you are the master. You are the Lord. You are God himself. And no buck-toothed, flat-tailed, idiomatic metaphor for a female's reproductive orifice will tell you where to go.
Where to go?
Yes, I know! But if we feel interrupted, it is because your mind imagined us feeling this way.
Points to therapist.
Don't you think he should have recognized this? Why would he have you argue with the lives you burn? Why would he not listen for these clues?
What is it saying? I can see it talking, but I cannot hear its words.
What am I saying? I'm saying fuck you!
Fuck you.
What?
Wait.
No. Fuck him is right.
Fuck him?
He wants to fuck me.
Oh God, no.
Well, I honestly hadn't entertained the idea.
Don't even start. Tell him not to even start. Go on, tell him.
Start.
Right now?
No. Tell him you're wrong. You made a mistake. Hurry!
Hurry!
Well, I suppose there's first time for everything. Here's to a new day for psychology.
Begins moving.
Stop!
Wait. Let her read the stage directions.
Beaver begins yelling stop, and after a beat or two, patient joins him, although his voice should harmonize somewhat with that of Beaver. Soon, therapist, who is confused at this, joins in, and the three of them sing the word stop in a barbershop quartet fashion for several seconds, their arms around each other.
Sorry, I should sing it. Other than that.
Stop!
Stop!
That was all very excessive.
How have we broken down?
Miscommunication.
Error?
I think your only error is believing you lack the strength necessary to help those blind. This blind.
Points to self.
These blind.
Points to self and Beaver.
They choose blind.
No one chooses blind. Blind is given. Blind is struck dumb and lifted above the doldrums of being.
She may be wrong.
To Beaver.
You may be blind.
Points to therapist.
He may be too.
Blind? Never so not.
Blind as dark. Blind as gone.
To what?
To all.
Yet I'm not. I see it here. And here. Here it is. And here as well.
Is it?
You cannot see reality.
Or truth?
So much light your eyes pass by.
But I see it all.
You see all but a sliver of it. Close your eyes. Relax your mind. Consider color. Think of blue. And in your mind you will see blue. Think of red. And in your mind you will see the red. But what of a new color? What of one of which you've never glimpsed? Think of it now. And in your mind, can you see it?
I cannot.
And so as such, you were blind.
But I see all there is to be seen.
Oh, the colors you know. And what of the ones you would see? Such a tiny fraction of the entire spectrum, such a little portion, such a small percent. Could you comprehend?
0.25
If the light if the light you can see were the step of a skip,
Here Fawn takes one step equaling 3 feet.
all of the rainbow in this one little bit, then the light you cannot stretches beyond this rock and beyond this space to the nearest star and back. A lifetime of light waves you can never know.
Then I do not see what I do not need.
Then you do not see it all. All around you, light reflected, some absorbed and some is bounced. But what you see is what's not there, reality in reverse. Absence of color, a world in negative. Authentic life lies in all that which you cannot see or hear. For your mind can only comprehend a minute voice in the cacophonous chorus of sound. Above your head and beneath your feet, creatures speak in words your ears cannot hear. This concocted world you see is but your brain's meager attempt to comprehend what it is. Try to understand for just one moment. Stand silent in the forest and look for colors you cannot see. Listen for the sounds you cannot hear and recognize that everything around you is distorted, faces and shallow breathing.
The entire cast becomes silent as they listen to the forest. They move in fluid but hesitant motion. It is as if they are all in a dark room, struggling to make out their surroundings, or listen for some hint of movement. This lasts for 9 seconds. Too patient.
Help those blind.
I see this. My creation, my world, my dream.
Thus, you must take control.
And are you not as blind?
I don't feel blind.
How would someone feel blind?
Simple. Their eyes would be in excruciating pain.
Your eyes are where your brain protrudes.
Too fun.
I can see for you.
You can.
I'm not sure you can.
I made you, didn't I? Why wouldn't I be able to see for you?
You tell him.
You stay out of this!
You are capable of whatever you set your mind to.
I am?
Great, wonderful things if you choose.
Don't be too hasty to buy into his pitch.
It sounds so pleasant, though.
Allow yourself to express in all your magnificence.
No, hold it back. Hold you back.
You are a snowflake of originality and uniqueness. Let this trait burst through like a diamond, ruby gems spilling forth from a casket of eternal brilliance.
Broken teeth and cavities, and there's nothing special about you. And you and every other poor, pathetic child trained from prepubescent to believe themselves entitled to a future of success, love, paid vacation, and dogs that shit fat rolls of $20 bills. You are average, saltines, and yogurt. You are no more unique than any of the other 20 million suburban children spat out of public schools designed more self-esteem inflating daycare than institutions of learning. Raised by pussy parents who've been trained by a generation of you
Most directly.
To attempt reasoning communication with a child whose brain is not yet developed enough to comprehend that the monster they see hiding in their closet isn't real. You're nothing special at all. You'll never think an original thought, you'll never find a soulmate, and the chances are high that you'll end your existence on this earth in the hospital bed watching game shows as you patiently wait for death to take you. An entire society of intellectually stunted, corporate brand loyal automations. And every one of you spending the entirety of your lives convinced that you are somehow different from the person next to you. So even in the erroneous thought, you're all the same.
Oh, how joyous your singularity.
Am I single? Singular?
Am I single?
Do you
Am
revel
I
in it?
single?
Does it arouse you?
Me? Singular?
You are nothing.
The beaver tells me I'm nothing.
Does it? Nothing? This hatred of yourself. When did it begin?
Hatred?
I never said I hated.
But the beaver...
Yelling.
Nothing, nothing, nothing. How can you be nothing? Outrageous.
Egregious.
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 Egregious. This cannot be.
Outrageous, egregious.
This cannot happen.
Aquarius.
This is irregular dissatisfaction of the unleavened bread and crumbs of failure. Failure! Miserable failure. Nothing doesn't eat. Nothing doesn't walk. Nothing doesn't compulsively pick thick black hairs. Nothing fucks. Nothing.
But the beaver...
But the beaver bobs and weaves, doesn't he? Nothing creates nothing. But the beaver is something. Caleb, will you grab me another beer?
Imagination. It is only dream.
A B-R-R-R-R.
A burr? Burr. A burr.
What? Did you say?
Imagination. It is only dream.
It is right there, breathing and staring.
But is it real? How can thought be real? I'm waiting for proof you haven't provided.
Points at Beaver.
Is it real? See it. See proof.
Proven.
Nothing can be proven.
You are proven. He has proven you.
I'm not. You're not. Nothing is. Nor nothing ever will be.
You can't prove that.
If you wish to affirm a statement, you must make a system to do so. And so you prove 1 + 1 = 2.
As he says this, he holds out his 2 index fingers and brings them together before his face.
Yet once you've used the system to prove an argument, you must then prove the validity of the system you've created. So you must create a larger system outside of the one you've already created. And after you've used this larger system to prove the validity of the first system, you must then prove the validity of the newer system. And so on and so forth, until you've created so many systems that you've finally been forced to rely on the entire universe as your system of validity. And suddenly you realize you can go to no larger system, because there is nothing outside the universe. And thus, you cannot prove that system or any which came before. Well, next line is dubious.
Dubious. Dubious and debatable and arguer and suspiciously suspect.
Cut out Beaver.
He's like a gift box filled with self-doubt.
Self-doubt? Because in dreaming you have evoked this new life. I am no more the entirety of you, as you are the entirety of me.
The imagination goes where it will, like ivy on a wall grows where it will.
And we are alone.
I don't ask. I needn't.
Too Fawn.
You see?
Too Beaver.
You see?
Too Patient.
What do you see?
There was some kind of monster in the woods, like a lion, but like a man. And it hated her. Or it hunted her. I'm not sure. I can't remember it very clearly. It was a dream. But it hid in the darkness, and it stepped from the shadow of one tree to another. And the fawn didn't know it was hunting her, but the beaver did.
It's hunting her, and she doesn't know.
Why does it hunt her?
It hates her.
Why does it hate her?
Because it hurts.
So the monster is in the forest. Or in the forest, wants to kill the deer.
It salivates for her.
For obvious reason. Why do they not hide?
Because it is daylight, and fear is banished by the face of the sun.
The sun reminds me of a lover I've never met. The way it caresses me, it dances through the branches and tickles the forest floor.
and when the sun sets.
Perhaps she dies.
Make her run.
Is that a beaver line?
Yep.
But then she'll never live.
To Fawn.
Run, flee, escape.
To where?
To anywhere but here. To some place where no monster can find you.
Does it have guns? Do you think? The monster.
She doesn't understand. She cannot understand. This thing is beyond her.
Monster?
There is no monster, Fawn.
There is a monster.
Perhaps it is made of guns. Guns and teeth and hair.
Some things may never be fled, no matter how far or fast they run. Some things may never be fled, no matter how fast. Oh, I read that right the first time. I'm sorry. I don't know why I went into like a second.
But she has so much to live for.
She has nothing to live for, just the same as the rest of us.
Aside to therapist.
Now, I'm not sure if this is important at all, this comment coming up, but this is the part of the dream where the beaver told me it didn't matter if I died tomorrow or today.
How ludicrously inane. Of course it isn't important. Don't interrupt.
It doesn't matter if you die right now or 10,000 years from now. It doesn't matter. If the fawn ran for eternity, always one step ahead of the monster, till at the very edge of the universe, she could go no further, and with one steel-sharpened claw, it reached out and stripped her of her final breath. It'd make no difference. Then if it killed her this very instant.
Of course it would.
How? What difference would it make?
She would exist, if for just a little longer.
Slightly aggressive towards Beaver.
Does it want you to die? Your mind. Here it tells you life makes no difference. Here it tells you, Here is tells you life must be worthless.
Oh, that should be it.
Yeah, okay.
Where's that little pin?
Here it tells you life must be worthless. Here is it. Here it tells you
Here
continued
is.
existence
Yeah, here is.
is little more than an exercise in egotism and eroticism. Eroticism.
I know life.
Eroticism.
I need a cigarette.
You want to take a break? We
Do
can
you?
Take a break. I know life matters.
Yeah.
Life matters.
We'll take a break. All right, we'll take a break.
Tell him he's missed the point.
We haven't even reached the halfway point, guys.
I'm down for
Well,
that.
I'm drunk.
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm not